Hey everyone, and welcome. On behalf of Forge College, I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for another explainer. Today, we are tackling a seriously foundational topic in our Querying Account Data and Webhook Integration module. Now, just for context, this sits right inside the RESTful API Development for Solana course, which is a core piece of the broader Web 2 integration and API development on Solana track. The topic we're diving into today, Account Data Query Principles. If you're building Web3 applications, you already know that talking to the blockchain is a massive part of the job. But how exactly do we pull that data out and make it genuinely useful? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack today, so let's dive right in.
To set the stage here, I wanted to imagine something we've probably all experienced. You get this giant, incredibly heavy cardboard box delivered to your door. You tear it open and it is just packed full of completely unlabeled IKEA parts. I'm talking random screws, wooden dowels, mysterious metal brackets, you name it. Now imagine your client is standing right there, expecting a beautifully assembled modern bookshelf. How do you get from that pile of chaotic parts to a finished product? Querying account data on Solana can honestly feel exactly like that. You start with this raw, opaque blob of binary bytes, and your job is to somehow transform that into clean, readable JSON that a Web 2 application can actually understand.
Now, if you've been following along in the track, you'll remember our previous lesson on the principles of dApp integration. In that one, we were totally focused on writing to the chain. We mastered how to strictly validate incoming requests, sanitize inputs, and confidently push changes to the network. Essentially, we controlled what went in. Today, we have to flip the script entirely. Instead of pushing and validating data in, we need to figure out how to pull and present data out.
To get us from a box of raw parts to that beautifully assembled JSON bookshelf, we've got a really solid game plan today. We are going to cover the anatomy of an account, the distributed hard drive concept, filters and translation, the API design workflow, and finally, consistency and guarantees.
Let's kick things off with part 1, the anatomy of an account.
When you get down to the protocol level, the raw account structure is actually surprisingly simple. Think of an account as a basic container divided into 3 core slices. First up is the owner. This is the specific program ID that actually controls the data and the semantics of the account. Second, we have lamports. This is just a numeric balance used to pay for rent and fees on the network. And third, the data slice. Now at this level, this is literally just an arbitrary array of bytes. The blockchain itself has absolutely no idea if this data is a string, a number, or some complex data structure. It is entirely up to us to make sense of it.
Moving right along to part 2, the distributed hard drive.
A really helpful mental model here is to treat the Solana network like a massive, global, distributed hard drive filled with typed records. And your job, as the API developer, is to step up as the ultimate data translator. This translation process happens across 3 distinct layers. Step 1 is the discovery layer. This is where we figure out which accounts actually match our query out of the millions and millions that exist on-chain. Step 2 is the decoding layer, where we take that arbitrary byte array we just talked about and use a schema to decode it into a structured, typed format. Finally, step 3 is the presentation layer, where we map that internal structure into a clean, friendly JSON shape for the client.
That brings us to section 3, filters and translation.
So here's the reality. We cannot afford to download and decode every single account on the network just to see if it's the one we want. That would be a nightmare. We need server-side filters. Enter memcamp, which is short for memory compare. This is a brilliant little filter that you send directly to the RPC node. It basically tells the node to only return accounts where the bytes at a very specific offset match exactly what you're looking for. By doing this filtering server-side, a well-placed memcamp saves the RPC node from scanning and sending back a mountain of unnecessary junk. It is an absolute game changer for performance.
And right alongside memcamp, we have its absolute best friend, the data size filter. A lot of the time, different types of accounts within the same program will have distinctly different byte lengths. By combining a memcamp filter with a data size filter, you drastically shrink the pool of candidate accounts. You are essentially whispering to the node, hey, only give me accounts that are exactly this big and have this very specific signature right here.
Let's think about this translation process in action. We are taking somewhat alien blockchain terms and turning them into friendly API JSON fields that Web 2 consumers actually expect. The on-chain owner becomes a nice clean string called program ID.
Lamports stays as a numeric balance, but maybe we convert it to a more readable decimal format. And that opaque data byte array, we run that right through a Borsh deserializer to output a beautiful JSON object with properly named fields like ID or state. Oh, and we definitely add crucial metadata like mapping the current block to a slot field. This right here is basically your master translation matrix.
Next up, Section 4, the API design workflow.
What we're looking at here is a highly practical chronological checklist. Every single developer needs this when designing these endpoints, because honestly, skipping a step is a recipe for API disaster down the line. First, clarify consumer intent. What does the client actually need? Second, identify schemas. What data versions actually exist on chain? Third, map out those server filters we just talked about. Fourth, lock in your pagination strategy. Fifth, specify your exact decoding rules. And finally, number 6, lock down your validation. Sticking to this workflow strictly is how you guarantee a robust API.
I want to add a quick sidebar on step 4 of that workflow, pagination. Whenever you return lists of accounts, you have to paginate, period. You generally have 3 main choices. Offset-based is simpler to implement, for sure, but it can get super messy if the underlying data is changing between pages. Page token is great for server continuation, but in the fast-moving Web3 world, I highly recommend cursor-based pagination. It provides stable ordering. This means that even if new accounts are created while the user is actively scrolling, they aren't going to see weird duplicates or miss items entirely.
And that leads us nicely into Section 5, consistency and guarantees.
When we talk about validation, it really has to happen at 2 distinct checkpoints. The first is input-side validation. This is where you double-check the query parameters coming from the user, making sure things like their public keys are properly formatted before you ever even bother hitting the RPC node. The second, and arguably equally important checkpoint, is response-side validation. Listen, just because you successfully decoded the bytes doesn't mean the data is sane. You have to check that the decoded invariants actually make sense. Are the numeric bounds logical? Are the required fields actually present? If they aren't, you need to catch it server-side before it ever reaches the client.
Now, I cannot stress this enough. Always include slot metadata. It might seem like a tiny detail, but in a distributed system, timing is literally everything. If you don't return the slot or block number with your response, your clients have absolutely zero way to reason about eventual consistency. They won't know if they are looking at data from half a second ago or some cached response from 5 minutes ago. Without slot metadata, you're basically forcing your clients to dress for the day using yesterday's weather report. It's just a bad experience, so don't do that to them.
All right, let's wrap this all up with a quick conclusion.
If you take only one thing away from this entire explainer, let it be this idea. An account data query is not just a raw byte dump, but a multi-stage translation. We travel all the way from discovery, to decoding, to validation, and finally to presentation. Mastering this flow is what separates a fragile application from a truly robust, production-ready Web3 API. But I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. As the network scales up to millions of transactions a second, how is your API going to handle the lag between discovery and presentation? That is a very real challenge you'll need to solve next. And that officially wraps up this explainer made by Forge College. If you want to master Web3 and dive way deeper into topics like this, please visit our website at Forge College. Keep building, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.